sitting here in my living room. I just woke up from a nap. Yesterday, I ate a whole bunch of these chocolate-covered espresso beans, and I couldn't fall asleep until like 2 in the morning. I couldn't fall asleep until like 2:30 in the morning, something like that, 1:30 in the morning. And I had to get up early this morning to go take a look at a new lease property. I got a new lease property, and I took a look at it, and I got a man over there this weekend. He's going to be chopping up the field. It's severely overgrown. The lease property is severely overgrown, and so I got a man to go out there and take a look at it. And he told me he'd chop it up for $700 a day, and he would charge me by the day, and he would work 8 hours, and he's got a bush hog. And so he told me that he was going to work on it, and we see how far he got after one day, and it's $700 a day. And if I want to do more, then I can pay him more. But it looks like it could be, potentially be a 2-day job. So I'll split it up the way whatever makes sense. I'll do whatever makes sense. It looks like it's going to be a 2-day job. But I did get another lease property squared away yesterday. This lease property is only 25 minutes away from me. And this lease property, well, I mean, it's got 2 ponds on it, and it's 73 acres. So that's a good opportunity. It's 25 minutes away, so it's right around the road. That's very fortunate for me. And I have been looking for an opportunity to grow my business. So this is my chance to do so. And right now, I went to the sale barn this morning. I did go to the sale barn this morning as well, and I brought home 4 new cattle. I did accidentally buy a roper calf. I bought a horned calf on accident. They were running the calves through the ring so fast I didn't know what they were bidding on, and I bought one. But I got a good. I was like, whatever. I got a roper calf for $725, and I figured if I take that roper calf up to 600 pounds. 550, 600 pounds, I'll get whatever, $1,200, $1,400, and then I'll just call it a day. I'll still make a couple $100, so I'm not too worried about it. The auction was going at one point was going by so quickly. The animals were running through the ring so quickly. They were bidding on animals that had already left the ring, and I just kind of got a little bit behind, and so I didn't know what was going on, and so I did buy a roper calf, but I'm not too worried about it. I did go and buy 4 animals this morning. So I've taken a look at my balance sheet. I've taken a look at everything, and I have said that when I take a look at everything as of right now, the amount of money that I am making is effectively entering a point where it is effectively going astronomical. All right, it is going astronomical. The amount of money that I am generating as of today, when I compound my earnings forward, is effectively like putting me in the very top percentages of the entire U.S. economy. All right, I would actually anticipate, it is what it is. All right, money's not an opinion. It does put me in the very, very top percentages of the entire U.S. economy. All right, I'm not exactly sure how many people in the world make as much money as me. But I'm not exactly sure, but it's not a lot. All right, it's not a lot. And the amount of money that I am making is going upwards very quickly. The amount of money that I'm making is going upwards very quickly. And you have to understand that I generate this money for myself. Even if I had nothing, I can make money. Legitimately, even if I had nothing, I could just start myself another cattle business. And just to put things in perspective, this roper calf, I bought this roper calf for $725, and the rest of the animals, all 4 of the animals combined, including the roper calf, were $3,390 combined. All right, the 4 animals combined were $3,390. I paid about $850 a calf, and the feeder cattle market is sitting at about $319, $320 right now. And so, I effectively paid probably if you remove the roper calf, I probably ended up paying about $900 an animal, right? 900 times 3 is 2,700, plus 725 is about 3,400, and I paid $3,390. So I effectively paid $900 a calf, and in all honesty, the 3 calves that I got when I liquidate them, All right, I'm pretty sure I got 2 bulls and a heifer. And when I liquidate these 3 calves, if the feeder cattle market holds steady, I liquidate at 800 pounds. All right, I liquidate at 800 pounds. I'll probably end up making, on average, I will make about 2,000, 2,100, $2,200 take home. All right, that's how much I will bring home. All right, I gotta pay 100 and whatever, 100 and $135 in commissions. So I probably end up making like 2,200, $2,300 minus 135, 150 bucks. And so, I will just about more than double my money on the 3 animals. All right. Granted that I sell them at about 800. And in all honesty, here in about a month or two, it'll be grass growing season. And when it is grass growing season, the whole thing about me growing grass is that it just is what it is, right? When I talk about me growing grass, it just is what it is. All right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. All right. I actually do it. All right, it just is what it is. Nobody cares about an opinion. If you have a bunch of opinions and you have nothing to show for it, have fun dying borderline homeless for the rest of your life. All right, nobody cares. You're gonna die poor. You're gonna live your life. You're gonna live your whole life poor. You can have your opinions, but they're not gonna get you anything. All right, and when I grow grass, when I grow grass, the thing is, when I grow grass, I do it very well. All right, I do it very well, and you have to understand that and I am giving you my numbers, and when I give you my numbers, I am being as straightforward, honest with you about it as I possibly, from everything that I know, this is the truth. All right, even when the grass, or even when the feed is cheap, right now the feed is cheap. And even when it is cheap to buy feed, it is still 5 to 7 times cheaper for me to just grow the grass by myself. All right, even when it is cheaper to buy, even when the feed is cheap, it is still cheaper, 5 to 7 times cheaper for me to just grow the grass. All right. And the whole thing about this field is that I've actually decided that what I'll end up doing is I'll bush hog it, and then I'll just Duracore it, and then I'll fertilize it, and I'll just grow some prairie grass. I did pretty good with that prairie grass. I mean, not having to plow the field and reseed it all and everything. That was, I mean, it was not ideal. The grass was a perennial, and the feed values of the grass, when the grass started going to seed, the feed values of the grass were extremely low. But I was like, in all honesty, if it comes down to it, if the grass starts going to seed too early, I can just, I wouldn't mind paying it. But the whole thing about clearing the land is that clearing the land costs more than bush hogging it. And I was like, well, if I grow, maybe this lease acre is 73 acres, and then the lease property, the other lease property that I have is 40 acres, and I was like, well, that's 110 acres, and if I bush hog the entire, if I grow half of it at a time, I actually, this is one of the things that when I take a look at it, I believe that this is something that I can do better on this year, or this time when I grow the grass, is not fertilize the entire field at the same time. So if I fertilize half of it, and then I let the cattle eat it, and then I fertilize the other half of it, if the grass doesn't have fertilizer, it won't really grow. It just won't really grow that well. And so it'll keep the grass kind of just whatever. And I wouldn't mind bush hogging both properties one time a year. And if I'm only going to bush hog it, when I clear the property, when I'm clearing brush off of a property, it costs more to clear brush than it does to just bush hog a pasture. If I bush hog a pasture, it's just a couple of $100. And so, I mean, I just bush hog, the pastures, a couple, whenever, if I needed to, right? Or I could just grow half of it and then grow the other half. And if anything happens and I feel like I need to bush hog it one time a year or something, then I'll do that. But, I did get myself a new lease property, all right? And my whole situation with my cattle right now, the balance sheet, the way that it is right now is that, all right, so these animals, I'm taking a look at them. And yesterday I actually went up to that animal and I wrapped my arms around the animal. And it's getting very hard. I actually have to physically like push my arms as hard as I can around the animal, and my fingers barely overlap. So like if I really just absolutely bear hug the animal, like I really just really reach around the animal as hard as I can. If I no well not as hard as I can, right? I don't want the animal to freak out. Like I don't want to like a stranglehold the animal. But when I significantly try to wrap my arms around the animal, I significantly as just whatever, as tight, tightly, right? That animal, the my fingers are barely overlapping now. So the animal is growing, and I would say that that animal, as of today, is probably about 550 pounds. And that animal is actually smaller than the other animals, simply because I do have three smaller animals, and the three smaller animals are maybe about 450 pounds, 450, 400 pounds. But the rest of them, they're all effectively about the same weight, and the average weight on them is about 600 pounds. All right. And my animals are putting on just over 3 pounds a day. It's not quite 100 pounds a month. But but in all honesty, I've actually had that one animal that was 600. When I brought that animal in, the animal was 650 pounds, and that animal put on 150 pounds in like 40 days. All right, and you also have to understand that I took that animal to the sale barn 2 days, 3 days early. Right, they sell on Monday, and I took the animal in on Saturday. And so there was some shrink involved. I mean, that animal, I'm telling you, that animal ate a massive sum of food. I mean, that animal was legitimately so hungry. When the animal got to my farm, the animal was so hungry that he would just sit there at the feed bunk, legitimately just sit there all day with his head over the feed, and he would like nibble at the feed. He was so full that he couldn't eat anymore, and he would still just be nibbling at it legitimately like all day. And that animal put on over 4 pounds a day. That I would almost be willing to guarantee that if I took the animal straight off of the feed and put him on a scale, he would have actually hit that. He would have actually hit that. I would almost guarantee that he hit about 4 pounds a day. But even when I took him to the sale barn 2 or 3 days early, and I left him at the sale barn, he still put on about 150 pounds over the course of about 40 days. He put on almost 4 pounds a day. So, I wouldn't be surprised, when these animals get bigger, when they're like right now, when they're at 600 pounds, when they're at 600 pounds and stuff like that, they may actually put on about 100 pounds a month. They might. All right. Because a 600-pound animal will eat more than a 350-pound animal, will eat more than a 400-pound animal, and a 400-pound animal will eat more than a 200-pound animal. All right. It's just they eat according to their, the most realistic way to think about it is to think about it in terms of a proportion to their body weight. And so, I did bring home more animals today, and I've taken a look at my balance sheet, and I anticipate that when I liquidate my animals, it will take me more than it will take me okay, if I liquidate, let's say I start liquidating next month, which would not be in, and I've been thinking about this, how do I want to set my balance sheet up for the future? How do I want to what do I want to do with this capital? What am I looking to do with this capital? I will have, large amounts of capital coming in, and the amount of money that I'm making is going up. Being in a situation where I liquidate a bunch of animals at the same time, and then I have to, slam the capital back into my business is not ideal. It's not ideal. Like right now, I'll probably be in a situation where in about 2 months, I need to sell about 15 animals, and then a month after that, I'll have to sell another, another five, and then so if I sell 15 animals in 2 months, I will have to sell another five in a month after that, and then another month or two after that, I'll have to sell another. I'll have to sell another 20, 15 or 20, and so effectively over the next 3, 4, 5 months, I will be liquidating about and but probably more than right now I have 38, but I'm taking a look at it, and my whole thing with the cattle market right now is that my whole thing with my business plan right now is that I will probably what I will probably buy myself a bigger truck. What I'll probably end up doing is buying myself a bigger truck, and I'll buy myself a bigger trailer, and I will just start buying any animal. All right, any animal that I can get a good deal on. If I can get a good deal on any animal, I'll just buy whatever weight animal I can get. All right, because I won't be worried about trailer space. I won't be worried about anything. I have plenty of land, right? I have plenty of land, and I won't be worried about trailer space. So I'll just buy as many animal, or I'll just buy whatever animal I can get my hands on for a good price. All right. And my whole thing about the commodity market is that I trade the commodity average, right? That's effectively what I look for. I look for the commodity deals, and also right now, and I actually noticed this while I was at the sale barn. I noticed this while I was at the sale barn, but if unweaned calves, if your calves are whenever the weather gets bad, you can actually just effectively just anticipate this to happen. If the weather is ever bad, like if it's extremely cold outside, or if it's extremely wet outside, or if it's extremely hot outside, if there's anything going on like that's bad with the weather, any calf if you have an unweaned calf, you're gonna lose like $200. Okay, if you have a non-castrated bull, if your bull is over 400 pounds and the animal has still not been castrated, you're gonna lose like $200. All right, you're gonna lose a couple $100. You probably will. All right. I talk about the commercial standard. You really want to be in the commercial market, okay? When I talk about beef animals, you really want to be in the commercial market. This is one of the things that I discovered along the way that, it made me a lot of money. I got into the commercial beef industry, but you also have to understand that, American commercial beef standards are some of the highest standards for cattle in the world, okay? They are some of the highest standards for the cattle in the world. The American beef consumer likes a certain type of product. All right, they look for a certain type of product, and if you don't give it to them, they don't buy it. And so the American beef consumer likes a certain type of product, and the commercial standard is very, very rigorous. So you really want to understand this, right? Buy commercial beef animals, raise them to a commercial standard. Body conditioning score about 6 is usually pretty good. If you have them at a body conditioning score of 6, you'll usually make top dollar on these animals, okay? And buy commercially viable animals, right? Angus, Hereford, Charolais, Brahma cattle type, stuff like that, animals like that, hybrid, crossbreeds of those animals, and buy them at commodity prices. All right. If you go on the stock market and you just look it up, you can look up the price of a feeder cattle animal, and boom, that's the commodity price. All right. But right now, like these calves, these calves, well, if anything is going on with the animal, you're gonna lose money. Okay, if your animal's not weaned, you're gonna lose money. All right, it's fixing to get blistering hot outside. The corn market is also on a downward slide. A lot of people would rather just buy the bigger animals and not have to worry about dealing with fixing up a bunch of calves. All right, the corn price is sliding downwards, and so if the weather is ever bad, if the weather is ever bad, you're kind of playing Russian roulette when you're selling your unweaned calves. If you're selling a bunch of unweaned, or if you're selling a bunch of uncastrated bulls, you're playing Russian roulette. You're playing Russian roulette with your financials. And so the price of the animals, I did get a couple of good deals on. I did get a couple of good deals today, and I did good at the market. When I take a look at my balance sheet, I am about to start generating a large amount of money. And the thing about it is that I would like to space out my investment, right? I talk about the investing into the market. I would really like to buy into the market every 2 weeks, because buying into the market more frequently, right? Buying into the market more frequently effectively just means that I am trading the average. And the whole thing about trading the average is, and in terms of the bigger idea, is that I would anticipate that over the long term that the price of cattle go up. That's what I anticipate. I believe that the price of beef, there is a very realistic possibility that when in 10 years, if you wake up in 10 years, that $10 a pound, right? I said when I went to the grocery store, ribeye was $9.99 a pound. There is a very realistic possibility that ribeye that is $9.99 a pound goes up to $11.99 a pound, $12.99 a pound. It very well could happen. All right, that's the direction that I believe the market will go over the long term. All right, and so if I buy into the market every 2 weeks, that effectively just means I will trade the average of the market, and I believe that the long-term average of the market is in a upwards direction. All right, there may be times where the market falls. It may even be long periods of time. The market may even fall for 5 years, right? The market may even fall for 5 years. The market may even fall for 6, 7 years, but all of a sudden in the last 2 or 3 years, right, the market goes up again. And so there may be long periods of time where the market goes down. It may happen, but as long as I am buying into the market every 2 weeks, or it might even start becoming every week. I mean, very soon, I have decided to grow my business. I'm not doing anything with the capital. All right, I've already decided to grow my business. I'm not doing anything with the money. I mean, if you take a look at this, if you take a, I've been sitting here drinking this. I don't know, agua de kefir, right? And I've been drinking this mushroom elixir. All right, and I've been drinking this. I don't even know what this is. Ginger lemon probiotic sparkling beverage, right? And and all of this stuff combined was like $10, right? I'm not. I'm doing good things with the money, like I am, and I even drank my thing of cinnamon water. I even drank my thing of cinnamon water. I am doing things like, I am, enjoying my life, right? I'm not like sitting here miserable. I'm not miserable, right? I understand that I make a boatload of money. I understand that I make an astronomical sum of money, but whatever, right? I'm not miserable, right? I'm obviously not miserable. I was extremely dehydrated. All right, I was driving around and I was going around and I didn't drink anything the whole day and all this stuff and I got all this stuff and it was $10. All right, I got all this stuff. It was $10 and I drank everything. And I was like, whatever, right? I'm not miserable. I'm obviously not miserable. I'm not, whatever, right? I'm not gonna go and do a bunch of drugs. I'm not gonna go and buy myself a Lamborghini, but I'm not miserable. All right. I have decided that I will be growing my business. That's the big idea. I will be growing my business. And when I take, and I've always said the whole thing about this, at the end of the day, if anything changes, I will legitimately say that something has changed. And when I talk about what I have going on right now, it's not like I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm not giving you my dreams, right? I've always said don't talk your don't don't give people your dreams. Nobody cares about your dreams, right? I'm not giving you my dreams, all right? I am telling you I am running this business right now and this is what is happening. All right, this is what I have coming up in the next month or two, and this is what I will do, and this is what I got on. This is what I got going right now. All right, I'm not giving you my dreams. I'm not giving you my opinions. I am telling you I am running this business. I actually do this in real life, and this is exactly what I see happening. All right, that is what I am speaking of. All right, and so I reasonably anticipate the amount of money that I am making is about to go astronomically higher. All right, it is about to go astronomically higher. I will end up making more than $250,000 between now and the end of the year. That's what I reasonably anticipate. It will be more than $250,000. All right, and that's effectively 5.5 months. So in 5.5 months, I'll make more than $250,000. All right. That's what I reasonably anticipate. I'll have to reinvest my earnings as I go. I did get myself a new lease property that opened up a lot of opportunity for me. That lease property, with it being right around the corner, 25 minutes away, that's phenomenal. That's fantastic for me. And so the whole, I'll probably just end up buying myself a new truck and I'll buy myself a new trailer so that I can move more cattle around at the same time. All right, I will move around more cattle at the same time, and I'll just end up buying whatever. I'll just end up buying whatever it is. I'll just end up buying whatever animal I can get a good deal on. All right, I'll end up buying whatever animal I can get a good deal on. I'm not really going to be too worried about their weight anymore. I'm just going to buy whatever animal I can get a good deal on, and I'll keep a good eye on the commodity markets. And I really want to stagger the money that I am making outwards. All right, I really want to stagger it out. This whole, I don't make any money for a month, and then I sell 20 animals, or I don't make any money for 2 months. Well, I mean, it's not 2 months. I don't make any money for like a month, and then I have to sell 20 animals, and now I'm sitting there with enough money to, buy 40 animals, and I really want to even leverage against my earnings, and now I have to buy 60 animals, and then the month after that, I sell another five, and then when I sell the five, it's like I make enough money to buy 10, and I don't buy, I really want to leverage against my balance sheet, right? So I buy, I have enough money to buy 15, so now I have to buy 75 animals in 2 months, and then a month after that, I sell another 20 animals, and when I sell my 20 animals, I make enough money to buy 40, and I want to leverage against, and now I have to buy another, 100 and whatever, now I have to buy another 60 animals, and it's kind of a pain to be in a situation where I am slamming all of my money in at the same time. All right, and I really want, and right now is a very good opportunity for me to do so, simply because I have a large amount of money coming in. I do have a large amount of money coming in, and if I just upgrade some of my equipment, I can be more efficient in investing my capital, and I can just get on with it. And so, I will be more efficient with the capital, because I can buy bigger animals. But even then, I mean, yep, I mean, I will probably, I did get myself a new lease property, and I will be more than likely just buying myself a bigger truck and a bigger trailer. All right. I do have a lot of money coming in. All right, and I'm not miserable. Okay, I'm not. I'm not. When I speak about this stuff, I'm just saying I'm not a saint. I'm not a saint. I do understand. I will probably, I will probably make, and if anything changes, all right, if anything changes along the way, I will say so, all right, I will say so, but, it's going to be something like $250,000 in the next, 5.5 months, something like that. I mean, unless I'm doing my math wrong. I mean, and I'll have to double check it, because, well, I mean, I will have about maybe, 21 minus 3 would be 18. And so I have 18 animals, but I said 5, right? I said 5, maybe I hold 5 back. And if I hold 5 back, that's 16. So I sell 16 animals, and I'll be selling these animals at 800 pounds. And I brought them in at about 225. Right, these animals that I brought in today, I brought them in at about 225, and I paid $900 an animal. Effectively minus the roper calf. And the roper calf, I'll make a couple $100 and just call it a day. And so, I mean, it's going to be a lot of money. I mean, when I sell one of my animals, I will make enough money to buy more than 2 animals. All right, it'll be like 2.1, 2.2, something like that. And, granted that I will have to buy fertilizer, and I will have to buy feed. And so, I mean, and I will have to buy antibiotics and stuff like that. So, I mean, if we just call it at a flat even 2, right? 2 times, I mean, even if it's less than 2, right? I mean, and right now I can actually get a lot of good deals on the market. And, here in a couple of months, it'll be October. And, if it starts getting blistering cold, if it starts getting, extremely cold, then, I can get a very good deal on animals then too. And so, but, there's a reason for that. It's harder during those months to raise these animals. And so I am making an astronomical sum of money. I'm not lying about it. In all honesty, just to keep pace, just to have my money reinvested, Oh, and realistically, I do want to take some leverage as well. All right, I do want to take some leverage as well. I do get tax benefits for it, and so, oh, long story short, it is going to be a lot of money. All right, I will be making a lot of money. It'll probably be over, somewhere, maybe $250,000 is, maybe it'll be like $200,000 to $250,000. something like that. And if I go over it, I will say so. All right, that's actually a better way to put it. It'll be like 200, 250 grand, and if I go over that, I will say so. All right, if I go over that, I will say so. If I go under that, I will say so. But if I go over it, it's not going to be by much, and if I go under it, it's not going to be by much. All right, granted that like something massive does not happen in the commodity markets or something, and it won't fall that fast or go up that fast in the next 3 months, right? And so, but effectively, I will be making a large amount of money, and I have decided that I will just put the money back into my business. I have actually found myself a new lease property, and it's going, and I will make hundreds of thousands of dollars in the next few months, and my earnings are actually compounding upwards. All right, my earnings are compounding upwards. I have decided to do so. I'm not miserable, but I'm not miserable, okay? I'm not miserable, and I am not spending money on, I am spending, like, I do go and I buy myself nice things, right? Like, I got this and the mushroom elixir and the sparkling probiotic beverage and I still got all that stuff, all right? I mean, I'm not miserable, okay? I promise I'm not miserable. I've always said, I'm not lying about it. I'm not miserable. All right, I'm not miserable. All right, sitting around and collecting money makes me feel kind of miserable. But in all honesty, I'm not like I'm not like trying to like throw myself, off of a building. All right, I'm not trying to do that or anything. I'm not, whatever. I'm not, contemplating suicide. All right, I'm not miserable. Okay, I am not miserable. I really want to get myself rolling forward. I really do want to push myself to move forward, right? And I did manage to find myself a new lease property yesterday, and and it's 73 acres. And I got a guy coming in to just brush hog and clear the property next weekend. It'll cost $700 a day, and we're gonna do a day at a time, and it might take 2 days. It might take about 2 days, but we'll have to see. I'll do it a day at a time, and I'll figure it out. And, I do have a lot of money about to come in. I do. All right. I do have a lot of money about to come in. All right. I got a lot of money in the pipeline. And when I take a look at it, I am really looking to space the money out better. All right. This whole thing about like, sell 20 animals and make a crap load of money, and then sit around for a month and then do nothing, and then sell another 20 animals, make a crap load of money, sell 5 animals, make money, and then sell another 20 animals, and then make a crap load of money. It's just kind of, I would rather just be at the market every 2 weeks. All right. I would be at the market every 2 weeks and sell a set number of animals every 2 weeks. That would make my life it would just make things better for me. And that's how I would like to budget the money out in the future. All right, and so I do have a lot of money coming in. I do have a lot of money coming in, and I have decided to do that with the capital. I would like to space it out. And the whole thing about spacing the money out is that, the whole thing about spacing the money out is that it effectively has me trade the commodity average, all right? If I space the money out, and I believe that the long-term outlook for the investment, when I look 30, 40, 50 years into the future, where do I believe the asset will be? Where do I believe the asset price will be? I believe that the price of the asset will have gone upwards. All right? In 30, 40, 50 years, the price of beef will probably be higher, okay? It probably will. And so, if I just trade the average, right, that's the investment strategy. If I just trade the average, then I will be trading into an upwards market. Even if the market goes down for 5, 6, 7 years, it doesn't matter to me, because I believe that the asset is good and the long-term outlook for the asset is upwards, okay? That's what I believe. And that is my investment strategy. All right. And I will be making a large amount of money. I will be making a large amount of money. I will be doing very well for myself. And I did get myself a new lease property. I will be paying a dividend out for that. I'll be paying a dividend out for the lease property. That's how I do these lease properties, is I pay a dividend. And here in about 2 months, it'll be time to grow grass. And when it's time to grow grass, my costs will tank. My costs will go down very quickly, and my results will be about the same in terms of how much weight I put on in the animals. It'll be about the same, and my costs will go down drastically. And so, I will, I've always said that if I took a graph of the amount of grass and the quality of the grass that I have, you have to understand that the quality of grass is very important. If your feed values for your grass are too low, it's going to be like your animals walking around eating paper. It's not going to do anything. All right, if you have your animals on low quality grass, they may barely put on a pound a day. All right, you really need to make sure you have good quality grass. All right, the quality of the grass is very important. I call it the feed values, right? It's called the feed values of the grass need to be somewhat optimal for putting weight on your animals. All right, the feed values need to be good, and the biomass accumulation needs to be good as well. And if the biomass accumulation and the feed values are good, and if when that happens, effectively the amount of money that I make, if I were to overlap the grass on top of each other, the amount of grass and the amount of feed value in the grass, the quality of the grass and the biomass accumulation and the monetary gain that I have would all effectively be moving in the same direction. And so I got a lot of money coming in. All right, I don't know exactly, but it's somewhere between 200 and 250 grand in the next by the end of the year, and my earnings are actually compounding upwards. I have sat here and I have thought about it, right? I have thought about it and I have decided that this is effectively the only thing that I can do with the money. The only thing. All right, if you legitimately, granted that you're not an idiot, right? And I've always said that, like, if you have $500 million, if you have, and I mean, there, whatever, right? I mean, if you have $500 million, right, and you have whatever, and you have 10 Lamborghinis, then that's different. All right, I'm not gonna go and buy myself a Lamborghini. All right. All right, I'm not gonna go and buy myself a Lamborghini. I'm not gonna go and gamble. All right, I'm not gonna go and do a bunch of drugs. I'm not gonna go and drink a bunch of alcohol. I'm not gonna go and get myself 10 girlfriends. All right, I'm gonna grow my business. I will grow my business with the money, and I do have a large amount of money coming in. All right, I do have a large amount of money coming in. I would actually anticipate that between now and the end of the year, I end up making over, somewhere between 200, 250 grand. If I go over it, it won't be by a lot. If I go under it, it won't be by a lot. Something like that. All right, between now and the end of the year, I will make somewhere around 200, 250 grand. Something like that. All right, I will have animals. I will probably have about 15 to 20 animals ready for liquidation at 800 pounds in 2 months. A month after that, I will have another 5 animals, 3, 4 animals, and then a month after that, I'll have a month or two after that, I'll have another 20 animals. All right, and I will have to reinvest the earnings as I go. And when I reinvest the earnings, I'm really looking to space the money out so that I can trade the commodity average and effectively and I'll just buy myself a new truck and a bigger trailer, and I'll just buy whatever animal that I can get a good, any kind of animal that I can get a good deal on. All right, and so that's it for me today.